Um, Hello, everybody. My name is Roman, and on behalf of Myovision and our great speakers, I'd like to welcome you to today's webinar. We all very much appreciate the time you took out of your busy schedule to participate in the webinar. Before we begin, I'd like to take a minute to run through the housekeeping items. As you might have noticed, the members of the audience are all muted. This is to avoid any unwanted background noise, which can easily happen in home office times. Do not worry, there are still ways to make yourself heard. You all should see the GoToWebinar control panel, usually on the top right hand of your screen. The panel offers a chat function, which you can use to make comments or ask questions. Your technical questions, like audio or video, I will answer right away via the chat function. All other questions will be kept for the Q&A session of the webinar at the end. So in case your questions will not be answered, we will follow them up with email. So in order to to make the presentation more interactive, we will be using GoToWebinar poll questions and, if some of you already heard of it, Mentimeter. In order to answer the Mentimeter questions, I like you to log on to menti.com and enter the code 31661762. I have just posted the information in the chat box as well. Your individual answers to all the questions are obviously not displayed. The results will be shared with the entire audience in an aggregated form. And we also will be recording the webinar, which will be made available on our website after it took place. So now I'd like to pass the mic to our speakers to introduce themselves. Stefano, you go first.
Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Stefano Sgarbossa. I'm a transportation engineer working for AMAT, the Mobility and Environment Agency, 100% owned by the municipality of Milan in the north part of Italy. I have a civil engineering background and understanding of both transportation modeling and urban planning. I deal with macro and micro traffic simulation and optimization of road network, monitoring campaigns, traffic control simulation, junction capacities analysis, signal timing and signal coordination, traffic impact studies, and more generally, town and transport planning. I want thanks to Miovision for giving us the possibility to explain our project right now. Thank you.
Thanks, Stefano. Next one, the mic goes to Laila.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? Yes. Hi, everyone, from wherever you are around the world. My name is Leila. I'm the founder and owner of ASI.gov here in Copenhagen, Denmark. I would like to share with you that I'm completing a PhD in the field of road safety with a focus on the pedestrian safety. And in the last 10 years, I worked, lived, and studied in multiple European cities. My first degree I completed in Portugal, where I'm originally from. Master in electronics engineering. I crossed through Dublin, where I completed my master's degree in telecommunications engineering, and then finally I jumped into the PhD. So I'm a student lover, but I also worked in the field of telecommunications in large corporations as Ericsson, and then I crossed over to governmental institutions where I applied the knowledge of technology into the infrastructure. So currently we are looking into helping to collaborate with businesses and enterprises that give an opportunity to all of us to improve transportation safety more efficiently. Something about myself. I count cars since the age of 6.
Thank you, Laila, for the introduction. And last but not least, Elisa.
Thank you, Roman. So I'm Elisa. Nice to meet you all. I am a social psychologist from France and based in Copenhagen. I have experience in user research for product and service design and lately in human factors in transportation safety. My role at ASI with Leila is to bring road users at the center of our intervention by planning, designing, and evaluating road infrastructure with human needs and characteristics in mind. And you're probably going to hate me at the end of the call, as one of my quiz questions will bring back some traumatic memory from the driving school.
Thank you. Thanks all for the introduction. And I think I and the audience are looking forward to the great content to be presented. So speaking of great content, what's on the menu actually today? Well, first, I'd like to give a brief introduction to Myovision and its products. Then Stefano presents insights into a large pop-up bike lane project and the findings he had. Laila and Elisa will then go into more detail on the road safety planning aspect and how human behavior influences it. In our conclusion then, we will take the time to ask the speakers on their views on limitations, things to consider or to ask when it comes to road safety planning. And finally, you, the audience, get the opportunity to ask the speakers your questions. Here, I like to remember the audience to use the chat box via the GoToWebinar control panel. All right, so what and who is Myovision? Well, Myovision is a high-fidelity traffic data collection and traffic management solution provider. We offer all the hardware and software you need to understand and manage your traffic network. With our solutions, we help customers to run count programs which are built on ground truth data and analyze their networks to reduce congestion, improve safety, and create a better experience for all road users. Our video-based traffic data collection equipment provides consistent and trustworthy data to its users and their customers. So how does that look in terms of actual solutions? Myovision currently offers two solutions. The Myovision Traffic Link, a permanent installation at the intersection. Traffic Link helps professionals to solve traffic problems faster by ensuring the right people get the right information they need. As of today, the product itself and its features are available in the US and Canada. Myovision's second offering, the Myovision Scout, is a portable traffic data collection solution. The Scout, video processing, and data link, a traffic data management tool, make it an end-to-end solution, which enables professionals to simplify their data collection and collect verifiable ground truth multimodal traffic data. Myovision Scout, data link, and the video processing are available across the globe. If you like to learn more about our products, I encourage you to check out our website, myovision.com, or get directly in touch with us via the website contact form or reach out through the email, which I provide to you at the end. So now I like to pass the mic to Stefano from Amat. The stage is yours. Let me provide you with the presenter rights.
Okay. Let me know if you can see my presentation, please.
Yes, I can see.
Okay. Okay, let's start. So, as said before, today we are going to see what the city of Milan has done during the second phase of the pandemic, immediately after the first lockdown period. In particular, this is related to the project Strataperte, that in Italian language means open roads. Last year, we analyzed all the mobility items such as modal split, road accident, and parking to reach out to the new needs of the mobility during or after the pandemic. Today, we will focus on what the municipality of Milan has done to encourage the variation of the modal split. That is, the modal split is the rate of the different ways to move through the city. Today, after a brief introduction to Amat, we are going to talk about what is the project Strade Aperte and through the monitoring campaign, how the way to move along the new cycle corridor is changed. Now we can see a brief introduction to AMAT. What is AMAT? Since 2000, AMAT, that is Agenzia Mobilità Ambiente Territorio, that means Agency for Mobility, Environment and Territory, is a technical office of the municipality of Milan with 60 employees that performs engineering services such as analysis, studies, research, planning and monitoring related to the institutional activities of the city of Milan in the field of mobility, environment, energy, land use, and city planning. AMAT usually collaborates with groups of other Italian or international cities like C40 or Eurocities in order to exchange experiences related to the mobility and environment. In this first chart, calculated through a macroscopic simulation model, we can see the relationship between the mobility index in the left of the road network, such as speed, time, or congestion, related to the variation of the number of the trips inside the city of Milan. We evaluated that to have the same level of congestion as before the pandemic, we need to have a decrease of 18% of the number of internal trips. This is due to the 50% cap to the capacity of public transport imposed by the Italian government to maintain the social distancing. This goal could be achieved through the 50% of white collars workers working from home. So in this chart, we can see the difference. Just one moment. Okay, no problem. Okay. Okay. In this chart, you can see the comparison of the modal split. Yeah.
Stefano, yeah,
Can you see the slide?
No.
Oh, sorry. Oh, just one moment.
Yeah, we can see your screen again.
Okay. But I see my face instead of the okay. So here we are. Okay, sorry. No, it's the same.
We can see the screen. All good.
Okay. Sorry. Here you can see the comparison of the modal split before and after the pandemic in the cake chart on the right part of the slide. Because of the public transport limitation, the number of trips by public transport decreases after the pandemic from 49 to 38%. You can see it through the green slice in the cake chart in the right. While the soft mobility, so pedestrians and bikes, increases from 23 to 26%. This could seem so little, but through the histograms on the left, you can see how in the first columns, so the shortest paths under 5 kilometers, the blue quote related to pedestrians and bikes increases more than the red one related to the cars. So, Municipality of Milan, to encourage the soft mobility related to the short distance trips, started a new project called strataperte. That means a network of new bike lanes, pop-up bike lanes. So in the next chart, we can see that the choice of which new bike lane could draw by the municipality started from the current planning documents of the municipality, like the PUMS, that we call Piano Urbano della Mobilità Sostenibile or Sustainable Urban Mobility Plan, through which City of Milan identified many cycle corridors. So we passed from 226 kilometers in 2019 to 293 kilometers in 2020. At the end of 2020, we made 67 kilometers of new pop-up bike lanes, thanks also the changes of the national law that allow drawing bike lanes that before were not permitted in our country. We made it in this image. You can see the main cycling corridors made during 2020 in 2 different time periods. Now we can focus on one of them, that is the corridor from Corso Buenos Aires to Viale Monza. Corso Buenos Aires is a main street in northeastern in Milan, has over 350 shops and outlets, with the highest concentration of clothing stores in Europe. The streets and its surroundings are pointed with several historical buildings, and Corso Buenos Aires stands from Piazza Oberdan to Piazzale Loreto. Going toward the outskirts, the road is called Viale Monza. That is an important access road to the city. In this slide, we can see the comparison between before and after the Strataperte project. Before, there were oversized roads, high travel speed, mixed use of road from cars to pedestrians, lack of pedestrian crossing, and narrow sidewalks. After the realization of pop-up bike lanes, now we have optimized roads, 2 separate bike lanes, 1 for each side, a speed reduction at 30 km/h, so there is an increase of safety. New intersection layout designed for pedestrians and bikes, new pedestrian crossing, and an expansion of the sidewalk where, if possible. After the realization of the pop-up bike lane corridor, has begun the monitoring campaign in several locations along Corso Buenos Aires and Viale Monza. It was recorded via Miovision Scout cameras and carried out by video processing technologies. In the left part of the slide, you can see all of the spots of the monitoring campaign. We monitored from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. initially every day, and secondly on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. We made an early count by direction of all vehicle categories, including bicycles. In the right part of the slide, you can see an example of the trend of the different type of vehicles during a single day, including bikes and one of the scout unit we used for the campaign. So that are the results. We can see that in the 21st of November 2019, the rate of bikes was only at 5%, and after only 1 year, it increases to 18%, with a maximum of 23% in September, with a workday bicycle average of 18%. In another spot in Viale Monza, we can see an increase of bicycle from 7 to 11% in a year, with a workday bicycle average of 14%. So all of these results can bring us to going on with the project strataperte to reach out the new mobility needs after the pandemic period. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Stefano. That was really insightful. I appreciate that. And I will hand over the mic to Laila and Elisa.
Okay, we are ready to rock. So at asi.gov, we are a diverse team of professionals, and our areas of expertise include engineering, business management, and social behavior. Today, we will be presenting an experimental study that took into account environmental, infrastructural elements, as well as the human behavior at a particular intersection. Next slide, please. I would like to invite you to go to the webinar and share with us in which sector do you evolve in? A local authority, a regional authority, national authority, the private sector, or other?
Okay, I will be launching a poll.
Will you be able to show us? Okay, awesome, great.
Okay.
Quick.
We close the poll and share the results with everybody.
Okay, interesting. We have the private sector engaging. I see the results here. Can we go back to the slides? Good, thank you very much. So at asi.gov, we engage with stakeholders and the local and regional authorities, the private sector, academia, and non-governmental organizations to drive strategic communication with key role players and benefit the transportation environment as a whole. The information is gathered in the form of qualitative and quantitative research, and the dissemination, among others, can be performed in the form of reports, evaluation, and awareness campaigns. Next slide, please. According to previous studies, there are three fundamental elements that can help improve transportation safety: human, the infrastructure, and the environment. Our approach takes the human factors at the core. In addition, advanced technology can and has proven to enhance the improvement of transportation safety. And internally, we are developing a novel concept that can help prevent transportation accidents more efficiently. If this is something that sounds interesting to you, feel free to reach out. Next slide, please. We lost it. This is a representation of the intersection that we took along for the experimental studies. And I would like to let you know that Elisa will give you an insight of the traffic paths. And in a later stage, I will be taking care of the environment and the infrastructure information. Thank you very much. Thank you. I think, Elisa, you can have your camera on. Yes.
Thank you very much, Leila, for the quick introduction. So as Leila mentioned before, human factors are the central focus of our approach. And when it comes to road design and planning, it's also a very big key factors. When we talk about human factors, we talk about a body of knowledge about human abilities, limitation, and other characteristics that are relevant to the design, planning, and study of system and environments. In the human factor evaluation, we take into account the behavior of road user, their cognitive factors, such as distraction, for example, or with a workload during driving, And we also take into account the social and demographic factors, such as the gender, the age, when it comes to road accidents, for example. There are a wide range of quantitative and qualitative data that can be assessed and many methods that can be used. And I'm not going to go into details on all of that right now, but I will give you a more in-depth insight in the observational methods for human behavior evaluation. But before that, I will briefly mention the link between behaviors, infrastructure, and environment, because we all know that there is no doubt that an infrastructure and an environment can change or induce a human behavior. So yeah, so concerning the behaviors, for example, the transport mode choice, Stefano explained it well. When you install a new infrastructure, for example, for bikes, more residents will tend to use the infrastructure and will tend to use the given transport mode. Now, I'm very curious for you as road planners and road engineers, if you could have any data that you could collect from your road users, what would it be? Roman, please. Question?
Yes.
Yes.
Now the audience has the ability to vote.
Okay, so would be, for example, the behavior of road users, or their past experience and perception of current infrastructure you have in your city, or maybe their needs on future projects you may have.
So from the poll, we can see that the majority is looking at to collect behavior. Then the the second one is shared between past experience and opinions and needs on future projects.
Okay, thank you. So what we are going to present today is the first one. We have a possibility with Myovision, in collaboration with Miovision, to collect this data from human behavior by doing observational study. Example of collected data could be red light crossing behavior, jaywalking, or risky cycling behaviors, for example. The data link portal could also be of a good use. We would be able to build ratio and thorough analysis on the human behavior from the data. Now it's quiz time. I have an example here of a cyclist at an intersection. I would like you to watch the quick clip here, and we would like to know what do you think is most likely to happen next. So Roman, if you have the quiz ready.
Yes, I just launched the poll.
Yeah.
The votes are coming in. Okay, as you can hear in the background, my youngest son can't decide for the answer as well. But, now I will close the poll. The votes have all come in, and share the results with you. And we have, it's actually quite even. So we have basically like 1/3, nearly 30% for all of them. 28% with stay stopped in the middle of the road, and then 37% with go on a zebra crossing, and 35% go right and against the traffic on the bike lane.
So we will see
what is the answer?
Surprise. So yeah, as you see, the bike is driving on the wrong side of the road, but still staying on the bike end. And I think he is passing at the red lights. So what you can see here is one of the example of observed behavior we got from a study we did on a specific intersection. So the first behavior was the wrong way biking on a bike lane, which was done approximately every 5 minutes. The second behavior was biking outside dedicated lanes, mostly because people on bikes were crossing diagonally instead of staying on the lanes. And the last behavior was red light running. So this is a common behavior from bikes. Studies in Italy and China showed that 55 to 60% of bikers were riding at red lights in the study, of course. And it was the case for us every 1.5 minutes on average. This is a behavior highly influenced by the social environment, which means that usually when riders were seeing people passing at red lights, they will tend to do it as well. Or when they were seeing people staying and waiting at the red lights, they will stay more. Other researchers defined 3 groups of people at the red lights. The first one was the law-obeying ones. So it means that the people are staying and obeying the road and staying at the red lights. The risk-taking ones who are usually passing at the junction without stopping, but they may slow down even a little bit. And the opportunistic ones who might be waiting at the red lights and being too impatient to wait until the light turn green, they would go before the light turned green. So this is the 3 main risky behaviors we observed from our study. I will hand it over to Leila now with the infrastructure, with the Mentimeter.
Thank you very much on this great presentation. I hope that people managed to see the video perception, the change of the video. It was very interesting. The invitation to Mentimeter is to hear your thoughts with respect to speed limits for the cyclists infrastructure. Seeing the 20 kilometers as too high, too low, or adequate, and the 30 kilometers per hour too high, too low, or adequate. Do we have the Mentimeter? Okay, that's now with Roman, with Miovision. Okay.
Yep.
Right.
I just shared it, so we see everything come in.
Yes, good. So we have.
I think that the average is going to stay the same, that we have
Exactly, it's not going to.
Limit.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
I don't think.
Let's see. I think, yeah, we will have 1 or 2 more people, but it will not change. Yeah, the average or adequate would be the 2.4. It's kind of a, there is not a clear decision here, and that's where the standards could fit perfectly well to get this as a more accurate response. A very interesting response we got here. Yeah. We will talk about this particular observation in a later stage. I would very much like to mention to you some interesting facts that we got at some points. Are we going to wait more, Roman, or should we ask the next question? We would like to see 1 or 2 words, your views on the traffic calming measures that you have experienced or that you might think as applicable, non-applicable. And this is going to be hopefully the last question we have for you. But it's quite helpful to see how people perceive the measures that are in place so that we can get better. Yeah. Yes, it seems that is growing, so keep on contributing. We much appreciate that. Can we go back to the slides then? Thank you very much. We are waiting. So the next slide, we will have just a number of factors that we took into account with respect to the environment and the infrastructure. So on the environment, we consider the weather, the lighting, the speed limits. A consideration could be the neighborhood surroundings, the road type on the infrastructure, which in this case is an intersection, the road facilities, and the road surface condition. And on the right-hand side, I'm not going to get into much detail, but this is the opportunity that we get from acquiring the data, examining it, conducting with the research, offering advanced technology, and also consider the long-term vision after having evaluated the cost benefits. And that is a great opportunity that we have through the use of data. On the next slide, please. This is just a summary of the extracted knowledge where we share the permanent speed limits at the particular location was of 30 kilometers per hour. The road surface condition, apparently dry. Further assessment on the road condition, as for example, the defects on the road is suggested. The traffic intensity shows on average more pedestrians between 9 and 10 than between 10 and 11. And the impact on lacking facilities for the road users is present, after having looked more into details on the human behavior. Next slide, please. And here we offer a portfolio of preventive measures that can be taken into account, as creating bespoke and bicycle lanes, assessing the road quality on a regular basis, considering speed limits, for example, variable speed limits, peak time. We noticed that the pedestrians were more present in a period of time than other. It's known that the 20 kilometers per hour helps reducing accidents considerably. And there is a study that has been conducted in São Paulo, Brazil, that offered us an indication of the relevance by reducing 10 kilometers per hour on the speed limits. Establishing the most adequate traffic calming measures based on the circumstances, and this proposal of introducing a roundabout, giving an overview, is that it's proven that in comparison to intersections, especially with more than 4 arms, roundabouts can reduce accidents up to 20%. Next slide, please. And I would like to share with you that this is an experimental study that lasted for 2 hours in the morning, the same day, with good weather conditions. This is a sample that we took so that we explored it. And looking further, it would also have a further space to explore when it comes to future analysis. Next slide, please. And our methodology takes into account on the first stage the pre-feasibility, the second stage the advisory, the third the implementation, the evolution, and the fourth stage, and we give an opportunity to restart the operation, calling this as a receptive methodology, which says every iteration becomes a better one. Having said that, I thank you for your time. I hope that you enjoyed as much as we did, and I hope to see you again. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. I very much appreciate that. Thank you all for your great presentation. And before we open up the room for audience questions, I'd like to get some additional insights on your presentations. I just wanted to know what kind of recommendations you would be giving to people who do a road safety analysis. What should they consider? Which type of questions they should ask? Things like this.
Yeah, it's a very interesting question you make here. I'm taking the space of the engineering infrastructure part, and I would say that the tricky elements that we initially mentioned are crucial. And then it depends on their priority. It depends on what the road safety planners' vision is for the long term. And it's very important for us to consider that this is the long term. So what is this that you intend to achieve on the long term? Would you like the pedestrians to start shifting from the use of motorized vehicles to non-motorized? What is this that the policymakers have as an intention? And based on that, define and prioritize. You could consider making a study just focusing on the environmental aspects. You can consider the infrastructure, the human behavior, and so on and so forth. But it's important what is the main priorities of the stakeholders, and then take it from there.
Yeah,
I don't know, Ellie, if you have any other on the.
No, I agree, and as we said before, our approach is mixed and based on the infrastructure, the environment, and the human behavior or the human factors. So usually we would recommend to look at all this at least at the same time. If you want something very large and something very complete, we would recommend to look at all these aspects.
In my opinions, we have to ask what are the needs related to the soft mobility, such as pedestrian desired lanes, or where are the attractors located in a certain place, so like shops, squares, public offices, restaurants. So you have to look to the needs of the people, and after that, if there are inappropriate vehicle speed or something else, but after the vision of the needs of the people.
Yeah,
And I think something very interesting also is being able to test it and to maybe simulate it as well. I think maybe Leila, you have some insight about the simulation.
Yes. In the first instance, of course, understand what is this that is in need, and that is when we ask the exploratory questions. And then, based on the needs, very good. Thank you very much for that reminder. We can actually provide a pre-solution, let's say, on the feasibility, simulate the proposal, and take it from there. Because we might all of us say all the answers that we've given on the questionnaire, if we are in an emergency, for example, we need to save our child, or our behavior might change. So it's very hard for us to tell exactly what could be the best solution for a situation. And that is where we strongly recommend, until the advanced technology is in place, artificial intelligence as an example, we need to maintain the infrastructure on a regular basis. And that is the way we can do the housekeeping. And when we have the technology, they will take care of us. For the time being, we need to keep the maintenance ongoing.
Great, thank you. Let's jump right into the audience questions, because I see there's a lot of people who have questions for you. So, and the first one, I'm taking the short one. What is your preferred traffic calming measure?
In my opinion, speed reduction is one of the most important, in my experience, a successful way to improve road safety, and narrowing streets or decreasing the turning radius of curvature. Because they can reduce a lot the speed. It's important to have clear visibility between vehicles and pedestrians or bicycles to allow the sight of each other and prevent road accidents. It's another good way to improve road safety. And I think that you shouldn't have unused spaces around a certain location where cars could stop and park, reducing the visibility between cars and pedestrians, for example. I think that those are my favorite way to increase road safety.
I would say I don't have a favorite one. I would say that depending on the needs, apply the most relevant, and before making that decision, observe, analyze, because sometimes we are offering a traffic calming measure that have all the measures, but the pedestrians or the road users or whatever is in the environment leads them behaving differently. And that is when we can say the favorite is the favorite for the users, and we need to encounter the favorite for the road users so that they make they make the use, because they are the experts of the roads, right? So they will help us, they will guide us, so that we can offer them what they are actually seeking out.
Yeah, I also think about the user experience of that, because we all use the road as well, and we know how discomforting it is to get into a road bump, for example. So I think there is something to look at where the user experience of the experience of the moment, and as a way of reducing the speed limit, something is can be done here.
So the audience is asking, what is the importance of road features and the usage influence of the road users itself?
Okay, I can take this one, as I'm now completing a thesis in this topic, so I'm a kind of I can call myself an expert, but I can tell you that up to 60% of accidents occur when there are no facilities. Now, we are making here a choice of having or not having, not even choosing which should be. We are giving an opportunity of saving 60%, 40% of lives. So that is where, or saving 40% of accidents and so on. So this is it's critical to take into account of this importance of the infrastructure in place to improve, starting with the collisions, the accidents, the more severe case, but also for the traffic flow and so on. But this is another discussion. But yes, I see it as an essential that all of us nowadays have as a birthright. How I assume. Maybe I'm being a bit taking an advantage that have grown up in a society where this is possible, but this is the minimum that the decision makers can offer to us as of today, now that we have all the knowledge.
Maybe on to the next question is, why focus on cyclist behavior versus the auto driver when the majority of collisions are due to driver error?
If they talk about the behavior study, we decided we focus on behavior of all road users for the study, but since with Stefano we were talking about bikes and the bike infrastructure that were in place, we decided to focus today on the bike behaviors, on the riders' behaviors. That's it.
So it's my fault.
No, it's no one's fault. No, but the highest amount of fault in general, I'm not pointing out to the type of road users, but it's the human error. Sometimes it could be us, but sometimes could be the data analysis. It's not just us human users, but yes, it's very complicated because humans are the ones causing the events on the environment, on the roads, and on the transportation, and that is where that's the reason, that's the main reason why we take the human as a focus, so that we use technology to make it operate more efficiently, if this makes sense.
Yeah, and if you want some insights about how, for example, the cars were behaving, we saw a lot of overtaking also from the motorcyclists, a lot of overtaking from the right, no, from the left, yeah, no, from the right, from the right side instead of the left, and some traffic conflicts with, for example, cars going on the right, but bikes going straight. This is some of the behavior we observed.
Yes, and I would like just to add on one factor. When it comes to the driver, the user behavior, this is all about the training opportunities, the educational programs that can be introduced as in a basic offer. And there are plenty of opportunities of intervention through the use of technology as well as simulation training and so on and so forth. So that's, the training is a very good start. It's a very good preventive approach to all road users. And after that, the responsibility of decision makers to offer the infrastructure more closely possible they can, so that the road users make the most out of the infrastructure. I guess this is what all of us at the end expect to happen when we are in a road environment.
And maybe as a last question, as we already passed the hour mark, is there a certain combination of traffic calming measures that has proven most effective in your experience?
Maybe the same I say before, traffic calming, so speed reduction, and narrow streets. I think that narrow streets are very useful, and maybe by on-street parking, not only by the radius of curvature, but also with some street furniture also. You can decrease the, the width of the street, and so people move differently when they don't have a wide street. So I think that this is the most powerful combination of facilities to use.
When it comes to these traffic calming measures, there are plenty of advancements as shared spaces. They are actually widely implemented in the UK, and also the new 3D environments. There is like so many advancements, but I would start by understanding what is the location. Again, go back, what is the location, make the analysis, project a simulation on a 2D level. There are a switch of portfolio of products that it can be used, get into a conclusion, make some tests, also examine the user behavior, because that is a very important area that up to date is mostly focused on having the infrastructure in place, because people behave differently everywhere. Right? So that is how I would see that those effectiveness, because there are, for example, the bumps are seen as very effective, but we also need to think about the life cycle of the vehicles. The narrow streets as well, it's kind of, if you are, I'm not criticizing or giving favor, but there are some side effects that we have to take into account. They are effective, but they may offer some surprises we are not expecting. And that's where I'm a bit cautious. If somebody would like to analyze an environment, it's important to look at a couple of factors before recommending the most adequate set of furniture or a number of facilities.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much. There are lots more questions, and I think you also have lots more of answers. But unfortunately, I think we are running out of time. And if all the open questions obviously will be forwarded to our panelists so they can answer them. If you like to reach out to them directly, here is the necessary information, so feel free to do so. I thank everybody very much for being part of this webinar, and I hope we have the ability to repeat this in another topic again. I thank you, and yes, it has been great, and I wish you all a great weekend.
Thanks to you, Roman,
Thank
and to
you.
Leila and Stefano as well. Thank you for a great event.
Thank you.
Yes.
Have a beautiful day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.